welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to look at a YouTube video about Swedish immigrant cooking. So I'm going to jump over to my computer just briefly. So this is 25 meals Swedish immigrants actually ate in 1800s Minnesota. So it's kind of interesting. Some of these, of course, I find disgusting. If you haven't been watching this part of the series, I do have Swedish ancestry. On my father's mother's side. So it was my paternal grandmother's, her mother. I don't know if her mother came over, but her mother was a first generation Swedish immigrant. I do remember my grandmother telling me that her own grandmother, her mother's mother, didn't speak English. She only spoke Swedish, and they, as typical of the time, they didn't want them to learn their native languages. So my grandmother never learned Swedish, and she never learned German, because she was, in fact, a half German, half Swedish. Her father was, I believe, also first generation German on his mother's side. Or not, I'm sorry. My grandmother's father was first generation German. His parents were German. I am German both through my father's both father and mother. My paternal grandfather, his mother was German. So I had a German great grandfather and a German great grandmother on two different sides, and then a German and a Swedish great grandmother. Okay, regardless. So I am familiar with this. This is just the reason Kirsten's was my original favorite doll, and I don't have her with me. She's in the bedroom. But nonetheless, some of these sound interesting. Some of these are disgusting. So I'm going to kind of go through. I did listen to this in the past, but give an idea of what recipes are presented. And they don't actually tell you how to cook them, but nonetheless, they tell you what they were. So they have a hearty potato sausage, which I do believe is in Kirsten's cookbook. Then they have pickled herring, which is disgusting, and it smells. Yes, my father will eat pickled herring, so did my grandmother. So that was one of the things they ate. Let's see, what else do they have? Scroll down through here. Let's see, that's the first star. It talks about the Swedish meatballs and the cream sauce, which is in Kirsten's cookbook. I will be making that for her birthday. Lingonberry jam, which I've had, and I may actually serve with our meatballs this time. So it's talking about the meatballs. Let's see how they cooked them. Let me move down. This is, how long is this video? It's about half an hour, so it's a decent amount of time. So let us see. Pull down. Yes, and it talks about, let's see, it's talking about, oh fun, lutefish. So they were able to get access to fish in Minnesota anyway, because they were near the Great Lakes. But lutefish, it's fermented herring. It's fermented. It's just fermented fish. It smells. It's soaked in lye. It's cod that was shipped from Norway, dried hard as wood, and then soaked in lye until it turned into a translucent and jelly-like. And then it was boiled and smothered in butter. Yuck. Oh, so yuck. It does mention that children wrinkled their nose at it. But apparently it wasn't Christmas without the lutefish. Yuck. Let us see. What else do they have on here? The bloody pickled herring with rye bread and onions, which again sounds very, very disgusting. Apparently herring was tradition, and it was made with onion and vinegar, and oh, that does not sound appetizing at all. Let us see how. Roll down a little bit more. Let's see. Smoked lake trout. cakes. So again, they were having more fish. Swedish, not common, not uncommon. Again, they were ocean-faring people. So, and they were able to get fish in Minnesota because of the lakes. So, talking about fish. And let's see. And the lakes, let's see. Let's see. Moving on, talking about survival. It's very, okay, beef patties, which is, I can't pronounce this. Biff Alstrom, which apparently is beef patties with beets, onions, and potatoes, and a tiny bit of capers. That does not sound appealing to me. It was often served with boiled potatoes and served with gravy. Not something that I heard of. Let's see, what else? There's several other different recipes, I think, in the description. Yeah, it talks about potato sausage and pickled herring and rye bread, coffee cake, venison and juniper sauce. Let's see what else. I don't know if this talks about this. It must talk about blueberry soup, which I think is actually in Kirsten's cookbook, as well. Let's see. I'm assuming it'll talk about the St. Lucia buns. Fish pie, salmon. Again, lots of fish. Let's see. What on earth does this else talk about? Does it talk about? Okay. Regardless, that's really kind of this is. It talks about berry picking and the berry soups and the different things. It's a very informative and very interesting video. It talks about the history and the foods and how they brought certain traditions over. And again, it's about a half an hour long. So it's a very good addition to reading Kirsten's books and looking at Swedish immigration in the 1800s in Minnesota, which is where a lot of them landed, just not mine. My family came to Pennsylvania. And so that is where my great-grandmother Hedvig Dahl, that was her name, she married I keep wanting to say his name was Charles Newman. In fact, I think that, what's his name? His name was Charles Newman with an EU, not an EW. He was her husband, my grandmother's father. He was German. So, but her family came into, Hedvig's family came into Pennsylvania. Her father was a coal miner. And then she became a maid in Ohio. So Youngstown, Ohio, with the steel mills. That is where my father is from. That is where my grandmother was born. That is where I believe my paternal grandfather was born as well. So they were from Ohio. Oddly enough, my maternal grandmother was also born in Ohio as well. But she was born in southern Ohio. But nonetheless. But this is talking about the group in Minnesota. I actually don't know a lot of the community of Sweden in Pennsylvania. I have to look that up one of these days. But when I have time, which, I don't have time. Nonetheless. Okay, so that is it for this review. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I will be continuing on with Kirsten, and then we'll be moving on to Addie. So, again, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you.